Righto, bit of a follow-on from our last video talking nozzle or tip sizing, whatever you want to call them, and now on to surface cleaners and surface cleaner tips. So slightly related, slightly different. If you haven't watched that last video and you don't fully understand tip sizing, highly recommend looking at it before you watch this one. But yeah, we're going to go through some surface cleaner nozzle sizing and a little bit of basic troubleshooting. Probably your most common things, because I'll do, maybe one day we'll do a video on how to rebuild a bearing or whatever, but 99 times out of 100 it's not going to be that drastic when something goes wrong. It's kind of funny watching the arguments or discussions online, and everyone always goes to the most drastic or severe consequence. Oh, you're going to have to do this, and you go, well, no, it's probably something really basic. Luckily, most of the time it's something basic. You can be unlucky and it'll be something bigger and more day ending than that. But if you know the basic troubleshooting, there's a good chance you can be back on the tools in 10, 15, 20 minutes. And yeah, if you understand tip sizing, there's a good chance you can have your surface cleaner tipped correctly and run better all the time. So that's going to be the goal of this video. By far and away, the most common issue that you're going to come across with your surface cleaner is these nozzles are either going to get worn out and deliver an uneven spray pattern, or you're going, even more likely than that, you're going to get a little bit of debris, a little bit of sealant, a little rock, a little pebble, a little bit of sand or something is going to get wedged in that orifice, especially on the smaller machines, because those orifices are going to be a lot smaller, so smaller debris can block it, and that's going to cause issues. You're going to leave lines, your surface cleaner is going to wobble and carry on. Easy way to diagnose that, maybe slightly dodgy, but should all be wearing safety boots or something along those lines. I will flip the surface cleaner upside down, I will put my foot against this and pull the trigger and watch that spray pattern. If that doesn't have two very similarly shaped V's coming out, you know there's something wrong with your tip. It's either worn out, particularly these stainless ones, they will wear. You can get ceramic tips, they're the ones we use personally, and usually what we do on our premium builds, we just include these as standard. But you'll get about 10 times longer service life, they say, out of ceramic versus stainless. And I've definitely seen that to be the case, because I don't think I've ever worn a tip out. We tend to upgrade equipment or change setups or something, end up with new tips, because yeah, they just don't wear out, from what I've seen. But they will, in theory, wear, and maybe other people use them more than me. But that's the two main things if you ever have an issue with leaving lines, and it is something that crops up mid-job, not something that you've always had. On the flip side, if it's not an issue that's just cropped up, if you've always left lines, if it's just something that's always been the case, you have to go over it in figure eights, you can't run straight or whatever, it may be a mismatch issue where, potentially you're moving too quickly for your machine and your surface cleaner, or your surface cleaner is too big for your machine. It'll be a combination of both of those, really, because in theory, and I like to visualize stuff in extremes, you could run the biggest surface cleaner off the smallest pressure cleaner. As long as you move slow enough, it's still going to clean without lines. But no one's going to have the patience to move that slow, and neither should they. It's a lot better if you match it correctly. Just on that too, with principles, I much prefer to have a smaller surface cleaner on a bigger machine than a bigger surface cleaner. Like, it's easier to move quicker with a small surface cleaner than it is to move slower with a big one. So even though we've got a big 27 litre a minute machine, we'll run a 21 inch surface cleaner. And I've had a 24 inch, and yeah, you clean a slightly bigger area, but again, the strain on your body, it's just not worth it. And you're moving that a little bit slower anyway. I personally prefer to move quicker with a smaller one. So don't get too hung up on size. Size isn't that important. But yeah, it's much more important how you use it. So if your surface cleaner is well set up, if you have it matched correctly to your machine, if you have the right tips in there, there's no reason why you can't run in straight lines, up and down, across. I find that more efficient, just as a method. I have seen other people say, oh, you've got to move in figure eights not to leave lines. That may be a way of overcoming leaving lines, but that's a fix for another issue somewhere down the line. Same with pre or post treating. You can choose to pre or post treat with SH. It really doesn't matter. It comes down to preference. But if you are post treating because you're leaving lines, chances are something else further in the line or further down the line is actually the underlying cause. Some other potential issues you will get, as you can see hopefully on this one, you can see there that's got a bit of a bend in it. Or if you can't see it, trust me, it's there. So what's happened At some point, this is we've just clipped it on the edge, hit a brick or hit something else sticking up. So now that's going to throw that shaft out of balance, and that's going to cause this to wobble slightly. Now, fun thing about these are Mossmatic surface cleaner. Well, they're made by Mossmatic. Their factory is insane. I was lucky enough to go to it. It was overseas. I thought, stuff, I'm going to go visit Mossmatic too, because I always wanted to see their factory. And good grief, you could eat off their welding floor, okay? Makes this place seem embarrassing. And this is probably not too bad. Like, we try to keep it clean than this, but it always ends up looking something like this. But their standard of quality of getting things exact is insane. It's impressive. So when these leave the factory, these are balanced perfectly. So you go and knock it out of balance or something, it's now putting tremendous strain on that bearing. It is going to wear the bearing out quicker than it otherwise would have worn out. So for a cost of, I should have looked up the price. I think it's a couple $100 for a spray bar versus 500 odd bucks for a new bearing. If you do damage the spray bar, just get a new one as soon as you can. Don't follow my example, because this one's been a little bit wobbly for some time, but really it's only just slightly out. I have seen some others where they are very clearly crooked, and you go, well, that's going to wear your bearing out in a very short period of time. Then you're going to be up for a new bearing and a new spray bar. And it doesn't matter what bearing you're using, they're all going to get flogged out from having that uneven wobble. So definitely keep an eye on it, and by all means, train your staff, train yourself to watch out for things. That prevention's better than cure. But if you do happen to knock your bar out of alignment, you can try heating it up, putting in a vise, straightening it up, and if you can do that, great. But if not, if it's too far gone, definitely just replace it sooner than later, or it will give you issue down the line. One final thing on tips and your surface cleaner, very much like your nozzles, your surface cleaners can come in varying patterns, and that's measured in degrees. So some do actually come with a 15-degree nozzle. I think that's insane. That's going to be a very narrow pattern. Your chances of taking too long to clean and or more likely just leaving lines is a lot higher with a skinny spray pattern. Thankfully, the majority will be 25 degrees, which is, that's probably what most are going to use, and that is fine. It will cut fairly deep. I have found that with higher flow machines, so once you're getting up around the 30 litre a minute mark, and even on our 24 litre a minute Kohler, my crew run 40-degree tips. So we are fully aware it's not going to be cleaning as deep in that regard, but we're allowing the chemicals to do some of the work anyway, so we don't need to do it that deep. It's not as harsh a clean, so it means we don't have to worry too much on more delicate surfaces, and it's going right to the edge of that surface cleaner. So we're probably losing a little bit because it is hitting that. But it means we're cleaning right up to the edge, so we pretty much never have to get the wand out and edge stuff, because we're cleaning right up to the edge. I mean, we do a little bit edging, but hardly any really in the scheme of things. So yeah, that should be all the variables. You can also adjust the height. These ones are looking a bit sad, but every surface cleaner will have height adjustment in that as these bristles wear, or even just as your personal preference. If you're doing, I don't know, colorbond roofs or something, you might want them a little bit higher, or if you're just doing smooth flat work like this, you might want it a little bit lower. But yeah, that comes down to preference to some degree. And I do also find it is not the quickest thing in the world to adjust the height on these, so it is a bit of a pain in the bum. It's not something you're going to be doing every day. You're going to set it to a height that you like, and that's what you're going to run with, I think, anyway. So yeah, I should have had a better think about this, but I'm pretty sure that's all the basics around surface cleaners and getting your nozzle sizing right. If you haven't had a squiz at a nozzle selection chart, jump online, punch in nozzle size chart, or there is even calculators out there, but usually they're in gallons per minute, which is annoying, and you got to convert them and things like that. So that chart's pretty good. Actually, we'll have a quick just shows how to use it. But let's say you've got a 4000 psi machine at 21 litres a minute, your 4000 psi, or if you 4000 psi, scroll down to around 21 litres a minute, and that's going to be your nozzle size 055, which does lend into a slight problem with a surface cleaner. So 055, of course, you want half of that for your two surface cleaners. What's half of 055? Well, in nozzle sizing, it doesn't exist. So usually I'd tend to oversize it just to drop a little pressure, because 4000 is heaps. So you go to an 06 nozzle, which would be two 03s, and then you're, in theory, at 21 litres a minute, you're going to have around 3,400 psi. If you're running 203 nozzles, you can also, get all the pressure out of your machine if you so desire, and round it down to an 05 nozzle and run two 025s. So 025 is as good as 105. Personally, I think most of the time we're running too much pressure on jobs. You're much better oversizing and having a little bit less pressure. Better for the surface, better for the customer, basically. You're not taking as much of that surface off. But like all things, there's so many variables. So it does, once you've got that basic understanding and the principles under it, from there you can make educated decisions. And there's some jobs where we might run full pressure. Hasn't been one for a long time, but it does happen. But by far and away, we find it easier to just run a little bit lower. But yeah, without prattling on too much, that is starting with 4,000 psi, so we'll drop it down to around 3. If you're starting with 3,000 psi, you're probably quite well going to want all the pressure that's available. So it depends where you're at and what machine you're using and all that. So yeah, hopefully I haven't banged on too much, and hopefully this makes sense. And we'll do some more videos. I should have thought about what the next one is. Don't know what the next one will be on, but it'll be something else that everyone should know. And hopefully we'll cover all the basics and you'll get some value out of it. Have a good one. One quick afterthought, which I forgot. I knew I'd forget it. Should write some of this stuff down. Grease nipples. If you do have a grease nipple on your surface cleaner, give it a pump every so often. I think most instruction manuals will say do it every week, even something like that. With that, you don't want to overgrease them either. But I don't want to, give you anxiety. Thinking, am I going to overgrease it? Am I going to undergrease it? Just give it a couple of pumps with a grease gun. You'll feel it go a little bit firm. As soon as it goes firm, that's it. That's enough. You don't have to keep pumping them. If I just spin this over, if you do just keep pumping them and over pumping, you will see grease get forced out of here, out of that seal, and that's going to allow grit and water to get in there sooner now, and then you're going to have to, it's just best practice not to. It will be more likely to cause issues if you over grease it. But again, don't want to give you anxiety. If you undergrease them, it's going to fail too. So keep on top of it. If you come here to the shop, you buy a service cleaner, just remind us we've got free grease guns here for you. If you're not buying a service cleaner off us, you get like $30 online or something like that. Go to Supercheap, go anywhere. They look like that, grease guns, except not upside down. Real easy to use. Not overly complicated. Something you just throw in the shed, give it a squirt. I'll probably do it every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. But yeah, if you run the Mossmatic ones or the bar branded Mossmatic ones, they are a seal bearing. I quite like them. I like them for other reasons too, but this is an education visual, not a sales pitch. So if you want to talk pressure, service cleaners, pressure cleaners, or anything like that, come into the shop and have a chat. But yeah, have a good one.